Our coverage of Computex 2025 from Taipei, Taiwan is brought to you by G-Skill, Gigabyte, Thermaltake, Cooler Master, and Trikes. Hey guys, I'm visiting Hyte. They have one of the prettiest cases I think I've seen in quite some time. I'm gonna actually start with the less pretty side of it, which was the development process. The X50 modern performance case is Hyte's feature product for this show, and it's beautiful. There's a bunch of different colorways. They have some new colors, a Taro, a strawberry pink that's beautiful, but the front of the case has this wraparound curved front panel that's perforated, not just on the front, but all the way through to the edge. And I really love when manufacturers show the challenges and difficulties that they go through with producing a product like that. So this example up here is similar to some of the other case front panels that they've had in the past. What they wanted to do was take this perforation for airflow and wrap it around the edge as much as possible to provide more airflow, but also to hit an aesthetic quality that Hyte really prizes in their products. So for the finished front panel, they went with a 1 millimeter thick piece of steel, and that's actually on the thicker side. Often you'll see 0.6 or 0.8 millimeters. That allowed them to maintain the rigidity of the panel while also getting the wraparound effects with the air holes. And down here on the bottom you can see some additional examples as they were going through the tooling process. As you can see, when you perforate steel and you try to bend it, can be a little bit challenging. So eventually they went with a powder coating method, and that's to help finish the look of the product, but also to prevent oxidization. And let's show you the pretty end result of this, because they were working on this all the way up until like a week or two before Computex. Here is the Hyte X50, and they have it in a bunch of beautiful colors, and that I really appreciate, because it's difficult to bring a case to mass market and also to have a variety of colors like Hyte has. And they even have a little voting section where you can say which color is your favorite, which was a difficult choice for me to make. I don't know, I had to put a couple in for my daughter Hannah, because I think she'll really like the pink one over here. We got matcha green as well. Over here we have a more classic white and black, and also note that there are a couple different options in terms of the side panel. This being a high performance case, they wanted to focus on airflow and performance, but also give some flexibility depending on whether you're going for that max performance. So you can see here a side panel, which also has a curve there, and you can also see the wraparound finish on that front panel, where those perforations are going all the way up to the edge. They sort of taper off here, which I think actually has a pretty nice look as well. And for the white and black version over here, they were going for a little bit more of a professional feel with stuff like the feet on the bottom, got the more handlebar style feet. And then for the colorways options, such as the cherry red over here, which is also featuring a glossy coat, they have a different style of feet just for people who want to make things maybe a little bit more fun. They're calling these paws down in the bottom, which is, well, cute. So anyway, Hyte is looking for feedback as always on these cases and stuff like the color options. So first off, glossy or not glossy? You guys have a feeling on that? And over here we have the Taro color, which is a nice purple, which will give us a better look at the side panel. Lots of attention to detail with this case. This side panel is 4 millimeter tempered glass, and it's also laminated. The lamination means that if you are foolish enough to say, set your tempered glass side panel on a tile floor, which is always a big no-no, if it does happen to break, the lamination is going to prevent it from shattering completely. Of course, you would probably still have to replace your side panel. But not only is it providing a little bit of protection there, but it is also a bit more of an acoustic barrier. It's hard to demonstrate here at the show, but I can confirm that if you try to talk from behind this panel and not behind this panel, it definitely blocks a fair amount of noise. For the interior here, with this being a focus on a high performance case, they wanted to make sure they had the power supply mount up at the top, and I just love all the curved edges on this, by the way. Like there's almost no sharp edges on this case anywhere. That does mean that your power supply is going to function as a bit more of an exhaust, since it's going to be drawing air in up there, but for most reasonably well-built power supplies on the market, that is not going to be an issue at all in terms of temperature. The reason they did that was because they know for modern high-end graphics cards, which can get hot and can get large, they wanted to have unobstructed intake fans down here at the bottom. And as you can see, you got 3 120s right there, and also up to 3 120s on the front for a 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. And then you got a 120 there as an exhaust in the back. For the radiator mount here on the front, they also have provided some flexibility. These notches in the top will allow you to remove this panel and can sort of shift that mount back or out a little bit more if you want it more recessed, or depending on whether you're using a radiator or using a radiator with fans mounted to it, or depending on if you're using this as just a fan intake, or you have fans and a radiator, or you have like a push-pull configuration or something like that that's going to be more thick. That will also allow you to shift that front area out a little bit more in order to maintain compatibility with really long graphics cards. Up to 450 millimeter GPUs are supported in this case, which is just about any graphics card on the market right now. Another nice bit of detail here on the back is the pass-through for the exhaust. Instead of this just being holes that are punched out, they actually cut and then bend each piece. So they're not getting rid of any of the metal, but they're also not leaving any flat metal places that might block the airflow. So you're getting not only improved airflow, but you're getting better rigidity and support for this part of the case. And they've even extended that to their PCI Express bracket covers right there. Those maintain that same look and also added airflow. Taking a look at the back here, removing the side panel here, which pops out just like that. Actually, the opposite side panel as well, you just set it on there and drop it down. Mounting a large tempered glass panel can be a little bit difficult, and I've seen a few different ways of actually doing that, but it's fairly easy to mount with this case. Back here you can see these specialty grommets that sort of stick out, so they're going to block the view through the case while also allowing you to pass your cables through. Got a drive mount down here that can support a 3.5-inch drive as well as two 2.5-inch SSDs. For the front panel I/O up here, which is a pretty standard, couple USB and Type-C. They also wanted to make sure you can maintain an aesthetically beautiful build, so they put a separate channel leading down the front here and feeding out through the back, so you can route that over to your motherboard and get those cables plugged in without them standing out in a garish sort of way. Let's do the one-handed side panel reattachment test. Can I do it? I did it. Look, I did that with one hand, so it passed the test. The price for this case is maybe, I don't know, let me know what you guys think. $150 is what Hyte is aiming this case to cost. And that is pre-tariff in the US, so do keep that in mind. Do note that it will not ship with fans, but Hyte is also working on these fans, colorways, match fans. These are going to be available in sets of 4. And since they are, I mean, they're very beautiful color-matched fans, certainly, but they're also fairly simple in terms of the design. You know, you just got a standard PWM connector. So a 4-pack of these, they're aiming for $30, which is, I think, very reasonable, given that a lot of higher-end fans cost $30 for just one fan. And these, of course, are available in the colorways to match the strawberry pink or the matcha or the taro. And then again, here's just one more look at the white and black versions over here, a bit more standard colors. And I really like that they've also got this airflow version over here, because with all those perforations, you actually can still see through, but you're going to get airflow as well. Apart from the X50, we have a few more products from Hyte that they're showing off. The Y70 is a very popular one of their cases because it's got that wraparound view in the front. They have that LCD panel that you can put right there, which looks quite nice. They're expanding that to, again, more of the colorways like they have with the X50 over there. So this is that Taro purple color. Looks really nice. Here's another Y70 in the new color. This is the Matcha Milk, the sort of green, and they've also integrated this touch panel right here. They also have a demo going on over in the other room of the Nexus software, which they have collaborated with OpenRGB to be able to, of course, natively control a lot of the Hyte products, whether you're talking about RGB, whether you're talking about fans, whether you're talking about the LCD panel that you can optionally install in the front there, but also to make sure that their Nexus software is compatible with other people's hardware as well. So if you have a mix of RGB components in your system, you don't necessarily need to have 3 or 4 different RGB control softwares in order to do that. You can sync with music, you can do a bunch of advanced controls, and the demo they have is totally over the top. They have like everything possible connected, but looks very nice, especially with the music video playing, bumping those beats. Here's a quick look at those colorways match fans. Those are called the Flow FA12 fans, and they've already had these fans available in like your standard black and white colors, but now you can match them up with the new case colors. Hyte also has Noodles. These are RGB LED strips. They're flexible, they're diffused, and they're actually sized to be the perfect length to fit into the grooves on the various Hyte cases. So there's an LN60 and an LN70, and then if you're getting like a Y70 case, you get the LN70 Noodle, and it will match up and align just perfectly. If you have an AM5 processor and you're tired of your thermal pastes creeping over the sides and getting into the corners, we have a series of solid processor frames here. Also color match to match some of the new colors of cases that they have, whether you're talking about the purple, the cherry red, of course we got classic black and white, a pink there to match the strawberry, and then just for the show they made this gold one. This is actually brass that's been gold plated. They said this costs about $400 or $500 to make, so don't expect that to be available at retail. But I don't know, maybe Kyle and I should redo the gold build from back in the day with this and like that $7,000 Asus card from Saudi Arabia. Probably not, but that's still a pretty cool, unique piece to have on display here at the show. couple more items over here. They are upgrading their PCI Express riser cables. Now they're Gen 4 riser cables that they've been shipping for quite some time. They said they actually overspec them. So if you connect a Gen 5 GPU to their current cables, you can actually negotiate PCI Express Gen 5 speeds. They said there's only maybe a 1% or so drop off. So their existing cases are going to continue to ship with their Gen 4 cables for now, and they might have some future revisions of those in the future. But they're also developing these pure 5.0 rated cables, and these will be going in future products. They've also, again, attention to detail, reinforced the PCIe bracket, so if your GPU's jiggling around while it moves or something, it's going to have less chance of breaking that. Then they've got the white finish on the cables here to match the aesthetic of the cases, because if you can't tell, with Hyte, they're not just focusing on the performance here, it's all about the looks too. Speaking of looks, this is a USB 2.0 hub. This is the prettiest USB 2.0 hub that I've ever seen. Simple name, it's just called the Hyte powered USB hub, but if you find that on modern motherboards, they shove every kind of connector on the board possible, but then you only have one or two USB 2.0 headers. This has a Type-C connector to plug over into your motherboard that gives you 5 USB 2.0 ports, 20 watts of power available. This will take power from a SATA power connector from your power supply. It is also magnetic, so you can pop it onto your case. Probably not on the outside, but you know, if you're tucking it back behind the motherboard. Or, you know, if you have a USB 2.0 hub that looks like this, maybe you want to have it on display. It also has an LED backlight when it is powered and on, and you can even turn it on and off with this little knob right here. Yep, just goes two ways, on and off. Another unique little product on display here at Hyte. But guys, that is all the time I have for this video, so I want to say a big thank you to Hyte for inviting me over to take a look at their new products, and if you guys have any feedback for them, leave that in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, you want to hit the thumbs up button, that's greatly appreciated as well. And a huge thank you to my sponsors for Computex 2025, Gigabyte, Trix, Thermaltake, Cooler Master, and G-Skill. I do have a little bit more content coming at you for Computex. We're getting towards the end of it, but subscribe if you're not already. We'll see you guys in the next video.